The world is the container of all things, and the book of the world is its articulation. Its language is a primary language, not Sanskrit, but a language of signatures, of marks, signs, flags, and ciphers that call our attention to outer resemblances that indicate inner hidden relationships. The world and the sky are awash in language. They reflect each other as man reflects the sky. We see its script in the night sky. We see the marks on earth, the great rivers, mountains, oceans, and forests, and the distinctive features on our own faces and bodies. The reader of the book of the world becomes its commentator, and its commentary is called Shastra, the oral tradition. But Shastra means scripture, no? The Vedas, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita, the authority of all Indian tradition. Scriptural authority is always invoked in religious and philosophical debate, discussion, and sermon, not usually sufficient proof in itself, but certainly a strong component part of an argument. And indeed, it is as well within the oral tradition. In fact, the oral tradition is always quoting Scripture. But which one? I would question my gurus and fellow disciples, Guru Bhais, when they would sing their shlokas to make a particular point. Where did that come from? I would ask. But my gurus didn't memorize shlokas from holy books. They would pull from the sky, the primary language, or pull from what is heard, the mantras, or pull from what is remembered, the ironies and the stories and the songs, and then perform the commentary. An oral tradition being pre-literate does not mean that its members are illiterate or don't read books. The leadership among Naga Babas is normally well-educated, quite literate, keeping volumes of notebooks. The difference between a pre-literate and a literate tradition has largely to do with where the authority for a source of knowledge lies. A literate tradition relies on books for its authority, while the pre-literate tradition relies on the spoken word. For the Naga yogi, member of an oral tradition, the source is the tradition itself, what is said, what is heard, not just by one's guru or gurus, but echoed among all the lineages of the order. An oral tradition is much more than the fact of oral transmission from guru to disciple. One man's idea or system, however enlightened it may be, does not make a tradition. A tradition is a living thing, the embodiment of living story, which spills past the beginning and the end. A comprehensive narrative emerges, encompassing archetypical heroes, nemeses, mentors, allies, and others, whose plot elements are driven by the rhythm of the moon against the background of the stars and the planets, beginnings, middles, and ends. And in that story content, we find all the knowledge of the natural world. The narrative is repeated and acted out tens of thousands of times by its cast of characters, living theater for living story.